Amazon is offering sign-on bonuses up to $1,000, plus get up to $20 an hour for select roles. The best part? We're hiring near you. So start now to take home something greater. New, higher wages with a sign-on bonus, a range of real benefits, and career growth opportunities in a top-rated workplace. So earn more and see how great pay and sign-on bonuses can lead to a greater life for you. Go to amazon.com/apply. Amazon is an equal opportunity employer.
Way to go, guys. Way to go. Keep it going. Good job, guys. All right, Paul, I see you. All right, John, let's finish. Coach Cole.
Great job, guys.
Hey there, it's Coach Curl here, and welcome to episode 232 of the Today's Leader podcast. Today, our featured leader is Dirk Van Reenen from Houston in Texas. Now, Dirk is an award-winning entrepreneur and internationally sought-after business growth consultant and coach. Now, Dirk was one of the top 4 Keller Williams international brokerage CEOs, leading one of the fastest growing brokerages worldwide for Keller Williams International in 2016. Today, Dirk owns and operates BergFlow, a research and development company that empowers entrepreneurs, business owners, and CEOs. Dirk has a real passion for speaking and connecting with audiences in helping them think differently about their businesses, their lives, and the impact that they have around others. Now, Dirk highlights some real leadership gold in our discussion, especially in relation to teams and what he calls human systems. It's fascinating. It's an amazing insight that I know that you are going to take so much gold from, especially if you are looking to build a great team. And let's face it, today's leaders want to build great teams. First, let's hear from Think and Grow Business, and then it's my absolute pleasure to welcome Dirk to the Today's Leader podcast.
The Coach Curl podcast is brought to you by Think and Grow Business, the home of the Think and Grow Business Mastermind. If you're serious about growing your business, get serious and join a mastermind group today. Find out more at thinkandgrowbusiness.com.au.
So welcome to the Today's Leader podcast. I've got Dirk Van Reenen. How are you, Dirk?
Tony, I'm doing great.
I'm stumbling over my words already. My God. So how are you, Dirk?
I'm doing amazing. Thank you so much for asking, and excited to be on the show with you, Tony. Thank you so much for having me.
Now, you've been described like all over the internet as a serial entrepreneur. So tell me the Dirk Van Reenen story.
Yeah. So I'm based in Houston, Texas now. We're actually in the process of moving to Austin, Texas. However, I'm an immigrant from South Africa, and my family immigrated to the U.S. when I was 14 years old. And kind of based on us immigrating at that point in life, I mean, we really started over with nothing. So we're kind of the classic immigrant story of kind of getting to the U.S. and really having just a few dollars in your pocket and not much else. Yeah. So I had to start actually working at age 14 to anything that I wanted. My parents just weren't able to support. So anything that I wanted, I knew that I had to start working for it. And my parents made a big sacrifice and really kind of helped me build strong work ethic. And I went to work, and in South Africa, I saw kind of the blueprint of my father being an entrepreneur and working for himself. So I think that, just that environment and the blueprint of that carried forward in my life. And at age 22, I bought my first business, and it was a business that I actually managed while I was going to university. It was a ski and snowboard shop. So I got into business for myself at a young age, and that carried forward to about 27. And then my business had a horrific failure. And I made a lot of decisions in a couple of years, like moving to a new location, bringing in some new summer lines and other types of things that were high dollar decisions that I didn't really think all the way through. And I was kind of riding on this high of being a really young entrepreneur and experiencing some good success in my young 20s. And I dearly paid the price for that. And at 27, my business failed. It's $300,000 in debt, had nothing to show for it. And, my wife and I had got married about a year before that. And, when all this was happening, we made the decision not to file bankruptcy and just pay everything back. So we went through a terrible financial mess for about 6-7 years, where it was just clawing and scratching just to keep our house, not to lose our house. But a lot of amazing lessons that was learned during that time period. And I think one of the biggest things that happened during that time period is I was so hungry to get out of that point of pain, because I got to the point by 2012 where I was working 7 days a week, a lot of times 12, 14, 16 hours a day, and I wasn't moving forward. Right, we were just kind of going through life, and I was hardly ever seeing my wife and my 2-year-old son at that point. And I kind of got to a really low point, but it was good, because I got to a point that I was so frustrated with the way that life was, that I knew something had to change in a big way. And I'd kind of grown up with a lot of amazing lessons in doing the right thing and working hard and treating people well and kind of learning how to think and be entrepreneurial. But there were so many things that I was missing. So I started looking for, okay, what am I missing in the success blueprint? And I started on a journey, and that journey has now 8 years into that journey. And along that journey, I've built a real estate team that expanded into multiple cities, became the CEO of multiple large brokerages. The last brokerage that I was a CEO of did $1 billion a year in sales, had 500 agents that I oversaw. And, so for me, I kind of got this, say like doctorate, PhD, just everything, just, in building big businesses really fast. And I was incredibly blessed to have amazing leaders around me and coaches that poured into me during that time. And that led me through to the end of 2016. And at that point, I was, as far as like single location brokerages, I was building one of the fastest growing brokerages in the world. And yet I was feeling unfulfilled, and really caused me to re-examine what I was doing. And I ended up actually walking away from that opportunity. I had ownership in the brokerage, ownership in the title company, and walked away from all of it to start Bergflow in January of 2017. And that's the company that I have now. And we're 3.5 years into our journey, and I've been amazingly blessed to work with companies in 3 continents, 4 countries, and we ongoingly work with about 170 companies now, all small size companies, anywhere from teams of about 10 people to about 80 people within the organizations, and service-based companies. But that's what we do now.
So what what compelled you to move into that specialization with Bergflow?
I think from my own journey, and part of this too is like after my ski and snowboard shop failed, I soon got into real estate and the asset liquidation business after that, like auctioneering, right? So we're auctioning distressed assets and business liquidations, things like that. So I was back in business for myself, but there was just such a struggle, and I just felt stuck. And after I had gone through this journey of learning how to build high performance teams and really how to lead generate and really start looking at financials at a higher level and just understanding the ins and outs of building a business, right? Versus, owning a job and working for yourself. I just really felt compelled to share that with as many, small business owners as I could, and that was the mission, is to say, look, I feel like I was in this environment where learning was so evident, and so many people were high-minded and thinking about personal growth and development and learning about business. And really, when I started kind of looking outside that environment, I didn't see that there was really a lot of people that had access to that. So I just decided, hey, I'm going to create a business and, try to get as many other people involved. And the big thing was that for me, it was very personal, because when you're running a business and you've got a spouse that's paying the price of you running that business, and you've got kids that are paying the price of you running that business, it gets very real very quickly. So, and same thing, and it's not just your family, it's the family of the other people that work for you, right? It's, when my viewpoint is, if when you employ somebody, they are not there to help you win and get what you want. They come into your world because there's alignment, because if you help them win and get what they want, then automatically you get what you want. And that was really a transformation in my thinking. And we've started taking that extremely serious, to where today, we're very, very particular with the way that we run our business and with the clients that we work with, and emphasize the responsibility that you have towards somebody when you employ them. And it's a very special and actually symbiotic relationship that has to be taken very seriously. And we are seeing now that the companies that are really starting to take that very seriously are the ones that are starting to win at a high level.
Interesting that you talk about that responsibility to your team member. I know so many business owners who go to sleep every night, not with the weight of their own home mortgage, but with the weight of 8 or 9 home mortgages, which is
right.
all the people that work for them. So business owners that do take that seriously are the ones that tend to be making the right decisions for all concerned, and ultimately the business, which is a positive. So how do you take what you do with Bergflow and work with clients? What's the skill set? What's the expertise that you're providing there?
Yeah, so we kind of consider ourselves in kind of a new category that we call really human systems development.
Yeah.
And what we look at is when we look at humans coming together, then it creates a human system, right? So that could be anything from a family to a church to an organization to a group of friends that are hanging out. But when humans come together, there's a system that's formed with those humans coming together. So what we're kind of specializing in is really understanding the dynamics of human systems. And what we've done is really specialize in human systems within the workplace. And the focus that we've taken is that, sure, companies have products and they have services and technology and all of these kind of things, but at the core, great companies have a great human system.
Yeah.
And since we started our company, we've always told our clients, look, the companies with the best teams will win, right? ... Meaning that it doesn't matter what comes at them. It doesn't matter what happens with the economy. It doesn't matter what happens in their industry. The companies with the best teams will win. It's not about having the best technology, because at a certain point, everybody has access to the same technology, right? It's not about the right products, because at a certain point, a lot of people have the same kind of products, right? But it's about, do you have a human system that is adaptable? And we started building a system called Pivot Ready Teams about 2 years ago, and that's one of the key words that's popped up this year is the word like pivot, right? Hey, with coronavirus, right? It's like, how are you pivoting? What's changing? You got to pivot. And what we've realized is most businesses are not set up to pivot. They're not at their core. They're not a pivot ready organization.
Yeah.
And they've been operating in a much more static way. And our entire system is, again, it's created around focusing on the human system and getting to understand the human system from a couple of different standpoints. So one is from a behavioral standpoint, right? Core hardwiring. And we always look at 3 levels of assessing: on the individual level, the team or division level, and then the organizational level as a whole. So we look at behavioral assessing. Next, we look at something we call cognitive agility. And that's really the rate of learning and adaptation within people's mindset and how they kind of interact with environments. And then the third part of it is emotional intelligence. So when we look at those 3 areas in assessing the human system, it gives us a very clear idea about the makeup of the team, one from the individual standpoint, the makeup of the team, and then the makeup of the organization. And we can start also looking at, how collaborative is the organization, because a lot of organizations, as you might know, are top-down type organizations, right?
Yeah.
It's a leader up there that's got all the answers, that's telling everybody what to do, and that model of leadership is dead. What we see today is that, leaders have to be not just a leader, but a facilitator of learning and self-discovery. and helping to teach people how to think and helping to facilitate the environments that allow collaboration to take place within organizations. And actually that is one of the only things that will help an organization really adapt to the rate of change in the world today, is a collaborative effort
Yeah.
versus kind of a top-down effort.
You've just given me so many key points just in that in that paragraph there. The best team, the businesses with the best teams will win, and I like that because it's such a definitive statement. It is so strong, and there's so much research out there that indicates that is indeed true. But so many, it's put together in such a way that people sort of say, yeah, but that doesn't apply to me. But when you're
Right.
definitive and say the business with the best team will win, it really does send that message. And that concept of know-it-all leaders, absolutely. The old autocratic style, I'll tell you what to do, I've got all the answers, especially nowadays. We've seen a lot of pivots, we've seen a lot of forced change, and we see the businesses that struggle because the leader may be the last one on the change wagon. So so many key takeaways just in that. So Dirk, who's inspired you in your leadership journey? Who was the inspiration behind yourself?
Well, I have been very blessed to have a lot of amazing influences, and some of those influences have been very indirect type influences, meaning people like a Tony Robbins, right? Where I've really become a student of their work
Yeah.
and really immersed into it. So I'd say Tony Robbins definitely a big influence. Another really big influence is Gary Keller of Keller Williams Realty International, and I've been fortunate enough to directly learn from him, directly in the classroom and in those kind of settings as well. He's a brilliant business mind, so I've had a lot of influence from him. I'd say also, people just more personally, I mean, people, there's a guy named Michael Zwarek who's actually on one of my calls yesterday with my clients, but he was the owner of the last really large real estate brokerage that I ran, and he's an incredible person with developing leaders. And then, I mean, I've got, several coaches that I've worked with that have been instrumental. And then when it comes to, just leadership style, I'm a big Patrick Lencioni fan, and, kind of his methodology of leadership and what leaderships are, what leadership is. Dave Ramsey, really big fan as well. Simon Sinek. I mean, there's just so many people. I'm an avid reader. So,
Yeah.
For me, I'm always out there really looking at, who is setting the example of building great organizations. And that's one thing that I really look for when I learn from people is, one, is it somebody that's been around for a while that has consistency? It's not, who's somebody that's popping up with like the latest, greatest kind of shiny object. I've learned in my life to really look at track record and study track record. So I tend to learn from people that have amazing track records over time,
Yeah.
and people that have really proven themselves out in their leadership.
It's one of the key determinants of trust, that credibility and track record. So people can trust people that have a track record. And, those people that go out and do potentially a course around something and then start teaching it, it's hard to get that track record and that credibility. So you mentioned some great leadership inspiration there. The likes of Lencioni and Keller gets mentioned on an ongoing basis. Sinek has almost by himself has inspired this latest or the last decade of entrepreneurs. So some absolutely great inspiring leaders there. So when we talk about leaders of today, what are some of the traits? You've already mentioned one, that collaborative spirit, that need not to be maybe the authoritative expert with all the answers. But what are some of the traits that you see that a leader of today needs to have?
Yeah, great question. I mean, there's a couple here, and I think they're almost counterintuitive from kind of the old style of leadership, right? Because I mean, I kind of grew up, seeing the picture of a leader was that really, kind of tough, certain, confident person that had all the answers and always knew what to do. Like that was my blueprint of what a leader was growing up. So I've had to really change my blueprint in a big way over the last 10 years about what leadership is. And I truly believe that today, two of the key traits of strong leaders today is that they're actually vulnerable and authentic. And I think that is so critical for high level leaders today because, people crave authenticity today
Yeah.
because there's just so much BS in the world today. There's just so much, that is behind a facade and you don't know what's real. I mean, just look at the whole COVID thing. Like, who has the right answers, right? What's real, what's not real? I mean, there's people are craving authenticity. I think people are craving a leader that is willing to be vulnerable and saying like, look, I'm struggling, I'm still learning, I'm still developing, I'm in this with you guys, and I'm here to help you through this journey. I don't have all the answers, but I care about you and I want to help you win, and we're in this together. I think that that's really important. I think same thing. I think just humility, right? And I think that that goes along with the vulnerability and authenticity. But one thing I think is very important today for leaders is that because of the rate of change, because of things continually shifting today, is that leaders that have a strong vision are critical today.
Yeah.
Leaders that have the confidence, and it's not the confidence that they always are going to know what to do or have all the right answers, but it's leaders that are confident in the direction that they're going. That with all the uncertainty, they can say, look, we are a team, we are going to win. We're not exactly sure how we're going to do that right now. And what we do know is we're going to win. We're going to get on the other side of this and we're going to be victorious, right? So, and leaders that can paint that vision and create a vision that becomes magnetic, that becomes an attractor to the people in their organization. Because I think people, there's so many people that are just going through life with extreme distraction today. So I think the amount of people that actually have a vision for their life and what they're doing, and even, I mean, business owners that we work with that have no real vision for their companies. We see it all the time. So this is one, we spend an incredible amount of time, just on these few things, like helping people become more vulnerable, authentic, humble, but, really start to crystallize their vision and build a compelling vision. Because I think that those things are really important.
Yeah. And once again, just absolutely true. There are just so many things, and that vulnerability about leadership, especially in the current context of the COVID crisis. I mean, it's not like many of us can go to the drawer and pull out the handbook for what to do in a pandemic. So for a leader to be standing there in front of their people with all the answers in this particular time is probably just the wrong thing to be doing. No one's faced this before, so we need to face this together. And for leaders, that's a really good, strong message that you've just delivered. So you mentioned a couple of failures along your journey, a couple of the troughs that you've had. So how do you personally deal with failure?
Yeah, I've had a lot of those. I tell a lot of people that I've made more mistakes in my 20s than most people make in their lifetime, and I tend to move very fast. So because of that tendency, I tend to make a lot more mistakes than a lot of other people. However, one thing that I've learned to do really well is learn from my mistakes. So I think like that's something I always carry with myself is I don't have an adversity to failure, right? So, and I think like that's something that's really important for especially entrepreneurs, that so many people want to play it safe and they want the guarantees and they're afraid to fail. And so what they do is they play it safe, and that ultimately causes them to fail at a higher level, right? So I've always kind of taken the approach of it's one thing that gave me took a lot of pressure off my shoulders is, and this is after my first business failed, because it was a bad failure. But I realized this thing. I said, look, if I never give up, I will never ultimately fail, right? The only way that I ultimately fail is if I give up. So when I adopted that belief, it really helped me navigate failure. And when I look at failures today is I love it when my team fails, when they make mistakes and they do something wrong, or we miss something, or whatever it is, we miss the mark on something. Because for us, it's a learning opportunity, and it's what can we learn about what went wrong, and how can we make sure that have more awareness next time, and that we have more influence on the decision making going into whatever we're going to do next. So for us, failure is actually one of those things. And Gary Keller says this all the time. He said, fail fast, fail often, and fail forward. Meaning that there's kind of this thought process of, you don't succeed your way to success. You actually fail your way to success.
Yeah.
And I've heard Dave Ramsey speak before, and he said, look, the reason that I'm up here and the rest of the 10,000 of you are in the audience is because I'm just standing on a bigger pile of failure than you are.
Mm.
So I think, a lot of my blueprint around the people that I follow have the blueprint of, you know what, failure is okay. Because it's too much pressure to think that you're going to do it right.
Yeah.
So we subscribe to progress over perfection. And can we just get a little bit better all the time, and knowing that it's never going to be perfect?
Absolutely. I could, as you were saying that you actually enjoy that process where your team fails, I could just see so many heads spinning with that, with leaders of their business who are demanding that perfection from their team. So, but that progress over perfection is such a profound thing, and it's so simple because it just means we're getting better step by step, day by day, project by project. And often the demands for perfection is what actually tears teams apart, as no doubt you would see with your experiences. You mentioned some of your influences. So what are you currently reading?
I'm actually reading several things. I typically read anywhere from about 3 to 5 books at any given time.
Yeah.
So right now I'm actually about halfway through a real oldie, and it's called Psycho-Cybernetics.
Okay.
And I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It's a book from back in the 50s, 60s, and it's really like a deep programming about how the mind works, and auto suggestion and things like that. So a lot of the terminology today we've even changed a little bit, but the science behind the book is really strong. I'm also wrapping up a book called Atomic Habits, which is a really great book too. And there's actually a lot of research, just kind of what we talked about, about the quantity over quality. And there's case study after case study after case study when they've taken a class and divided it in half, and they told one half of the class, we want you to focus on quality, and the other half of the class, they said, hey, we want you to focus on quantity. That and they go through a whole semester. And there's examples of taking photographs, there's examples of building clay pots. There's so many examples where they've tested this out. And at the end of the time period, every time the side of the class that was rated on quantity ends up turning out multiple pieces whose quality is far superior to the side that just said, hey, focus on quality.
Yeah.
And they said the reason is because when you're focusing on quantity, you learn a lot. You make so many bad mistakes, and you try things and you experiment because there's not that pressure of you got to do it right.
Yeah.
There's just that pressure you got to do it over and over and over and over and over. And so that's very profound to me as well. A fascinating book that I actually just got done reading is a book called The Fish That Ate the Whale, and it's the story of.
I haven't heard of that one, Dirk. So.
Okay, so Tony, if you want to read a fascinating book, it's a story of Samuel Zemurray, and he was a Russian Jew that immigrated to the United States in like 1910. And he actually got into the banana trade as bananas were, coming into the U.S. for the first time in the early 1900s. And he actually started just kind of working with kind of banana distribution. And then he actually went to Central America and he started buying land. And he became so powerful that he actually overthrew the Honduran government with his own mercenary army.
Yeah.
He got into trouble with the United States. It is like the most fascinating story, but it's truly a story that is really amazing about what you can do if you're just willing to go after it. And what can come of that. Another amazing book that I just finished is a book called Loving What Is by Byron Katie. And that is a fascinating book too. It's just the process of kind of your inner set of questions around anything that happens in your life, and how by asking yourself certain questions around certain situations, you can really reframe things and really set yourself free from unrealistic expectations or just kind of that trap of like thinking that your life is really dependent on anybody else or what they do, because we have no control over anybody else. We just have control over ourselves. So those are a couple of books that I've been reading, but I can keep going too. There's
Is
a lot of
there
fascinating work.
is there one book that's had the biggest impact on you?
I was actually just thinking about this, because I mean, you have, Think and Grow Business, but like Think and Grow Rich is a book that this year will be the 7th year that I read it in a row. So I read it once a year, and that book has had a profound impact on me.
Yeah.
And there's just because so much of the foundational, teachings of that book are as relevant today as they've ever been before. And truly, the way that you think dictates everything else. And that's one thing that I spend a lot of time in studying the mind. I spend a lot of time in studying human emotion, human behavior, a lot of things, and the amount of control we have on our lives is actually uh, pretty impressive. However, it truly comes from the way that we think and being able to reprogram our mind. And as long as we're living on, a blueprint that doesn't serve us, it doesn't matter how hard you work or what you do, or if you win the lottery or whatever it is. Like you're not going to experience, one, success, and two, fulfillment and joy.
Yeah.
So that's one thing in my life that I do fairly heavy work on an ongoing basis about reprogramming my mind, about even about past events, think about the future. Work with multiple coaches on an ongoing basis. So that's something I'm really a big student of, is the mind.
Yeah, absolutely. Think and Grow Rich is just one of those books that keeps getting brought up as one of those influential books. And, so many people have read that, and so many people have gone looking for the secret. And because it's not like written in its own paragraph with its own subheading, this is the secret, so many people miss that that concept around whatever the secret is. And personally, I think there's probably multiple secrets, because you're going to get out of that book what you're potentially looking for if you have the awareness to look. So,
Well, the interesting thing about that is that I'll just touch on this is,
yeah,
like I said, I'm about to read that book for the 7th time, and every time I've read that book, there's been new things that have been unlocked in my understanding that I did not understand the first time I read it.
yeah,
So I think, and there's this thought of people always looking for new information and new knowledge in the shiny objects versus going back and restudying or rereading things that have in the past. And I was in an interesting conversation with a very accomplished guy not too long ago, and he said 40% of what he does now is new information, and 60% is actually, going back and rereading, restudying things he's already done. So he's limiting the new intake, but what he's doing is he's going deeper on things that he's already studied, and I like that a lot.
Yeah, just the because as we grow, obviously we're going to have a much greater self-awareness, and we're going to pick up things that we miss. Napoleon Hill also wrote the book, the Talking with the Devil, or Interview with the Devil, and I found that amazing.
Outwitting the Devil.
That's it, Outwitting the Devil.
Yeah, Outwitting. Fascinating book.
It is.
I mean, so fascinating. Wow.
And it's riveting the way it's written, and one of those key aspects that I always tend to go back and revisit is that concept of the drifter going through life, because I would imagine that the outline that he provided in what a drifter is, there's one or two of those in everybody, at least one or two of those in everybody. Right. So it's got such a profound impact if you are looking for that particular profound impact. So Dirk, what's the vision for you going forward?
Yeah, I mean, when we started Berkflow 3.5 years ago, we kind of set this really big vision to say, our mission is to work with, the business owners, entrepreneurs, and CEOs that are truly going to change and impact the world. Like, those are the people that we want to work with. We're very selective about where we work with too. Is we want to make sure we work with people that care about their teams, care about their families. We don't want to pour into people that are just in it for themselves to make money. So we're actually very cautious about who we work with. But our vision in that is that we wanted to change the lives of 25 million people through the people that we work with. So obviously, it's not that we have to go work with 25 million people, but I mean, we work with clients that, that do $25 million a year in revenue, that have 100 plus, people in their organization. Take 100 people, that's, by the time you add their families in, that's 400 families that they're impacting. Those families are going out and they're touching communities and their churches and nonprofits and things like that. So for us, we truly want to make an impact in the world, starting with how companies treat their people. And, we do not feel like it's acceptable at all, the way that most companies have operated for a very long time, to look at their people just as, assets or interchangeable, and people that value their systems or processes or product over their people. So,
Yeah.
Our mission is to change the way that companies look at their people, to look at their human system and realize like that is their X factor. That's their number one resource, are their people, and start treating their people like their people are their most valuable resource. So, we go through a really deep process of teaching leaders how to get to know their people at a very deep and authentic level, find out what they want, what's important to them, get to know them from a, like I said, behavioral side, cognitive side, emotional intelligence side. And from that point, start kind of crafting together what the win looks like for the individual and the company,
Yeah.
and create alignment in that. So I think like that's our vision, is to continue to work on that. And we're have some amazing software in our company now that helps with that process. And we're kind of moving forward. We're going to be getting into some SaaS development as well. But all of it is designed around human systems development and companies getting to know their people at a higher level, creating more collaboration, and really creating more connection. Because here's the thing, like when you can create connection and collaboration at the highest level, you unlock something called the collective genius.
Yeah.
And when we help companies do that, the rate of growth and explosion and innovation and everything like that within a company is just very impressive. So we want to continue to take that out, because we feel like there's percentage basis, it's 1% of the 1% of companies out there are even thinking in that way. Most
Yeah.
companies don't know how to do that. They've never thought that way, and then they certainly don't have the training or the tools or anything else to do that. So that's kind of our vision, is we want to be the company that stands for the greatness of teams within an organization.
The collective genius. Once again, just there's just so much to take away here. It's awesome. So, out of everything that you've accomplished, what are you most proud of?
I think for me, like on a personal level, I think the thing that I'm most proud of is just how I've transformed as a husband and as a father over the last 6-7 years, and what I've been able to unlock for my family, just opportunity wise and lifestyle wise. It's been a complete game changer from where we used to be. So I'm very proud of that. And honestly, work wise, I was telling somebody, we've got an impressive resume with workflow and what we've done, but the thing that I'm most proud of today is my team.
Yeah.
And just the level of people that we have working in our business, and how they are coming together and working together, and how they care for each other and how they want to help each other out. It's just that is, that's what we do for a living. So to see that so vibrant within our company makes me very proud, because it feels like, look, we are walking the walk. We're authentic in saying like, this is how we run our business, and this is how we want to help other people run their business. Because I've gotten kind of an inside look into different training organizations, and it's like somebody speaking from stage and they say one thing, and yet behind the scenes they treat their people completely differently, right?
Yeah.
And there's not like authenticity. And so I'm really proud of our team, and just the people in our team and how they're showing up on the work side, and on the personal side. It's just just my family.
Excellent. Being the role model, absolutely. And one of my great influences is a guy called Steve Maraboli from New York, and he talks about how you do anything is how you do everything. And
You do everything,
the key there is that if you're treating your people like dirt, and ultimately that is going to come out of your facade. So you can try and put the walls around you, or paint a picture, but ultimately that will come out, because that's you, that's who you are. So
that's right.
Dirk, is there anything that I haven't asked you yet that I should have? So this is, I guess, your chance to jump on that soapbox if you wanted to. So
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, it's just bringing more awareness, and I love being, you know, on a podcast like this, just to encourage people that, I mean, if you are a lead, obviously you're helping leaders, right? So as a business leader, you know, just refocus and look at your people. See them as the most important thing in your business, not your customers or your clients, right? They are secondary, 100%. And I am firm in that viewpoint, right? And I've there are some people that I've studied in business, and they follow that viewpoint too. That look, if your people come first, your people will make your customers, your clients first,
Yeah.
right? They'll take care of them. But if you just kind of treat your people like dirt, and you're so worried about your clients and customers, then your people will not treat your client and customers well either. So I think if you focus on your people and really look at, I mean, obviously as a business leader, you're a leader because you want impact, you want to be able to further things, you want more opportunity, you want access to whatever it is. And just realize that the fastest path for you to get there is to develop your people, to help them succeed, to get to know them, what's important to them, how can you help them win? You know, and as a
Yeah.
leader, if that's becomes your number one focus, is to help your people move forward and help your people win and develop them, your path to trajectory is going to be astronomical versus doing it any other way. So I would just want to encourage people to really think about, how can I improve my human system? How can I pour into people and develop them and help them win? And really start putting your focus and time and effort and energy and even the money in your company behind that.
Yeah.
And as that starts happening, the human system itself, the people will start transforming, and you'll unlock new creativity and innovation and drive and energy and vision and everything else. And that will start unlocking the next level of opportunity and money and whatever else comes after that. But all of that, in our viewpoint, is a byproduct of you really focusing on your people.
And that's a perfect way to complete what we've talked about today, and such a profound message. And I hope that leaders everywhere take that on board, because, you know, when you look after your people, they're obviously going to look after your clients and your customers in a much better way. Dirk, how can people connect with you?
I would say just go to our website. It's bergflow.com, bergflow.com. It's our website. You can contact us through our website. And, you know, from there you can find all our social links and everything else, but that's the best way to get in touch with us and check us out.
Excellent. I appreciate your time today for this episode of the Today's Leader podcast. I appreciate you sharing some of those really key takeaways for the audience. Thank you very much for your time.
Tony, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me on the show. I've enjoyed it.
Join the group of people impacted by seriously simple stuff to get you unstuck. The first book by Tony Coach Curl. Available at Amazon, Tony's Simple Stuff provides the tool for people to master your life and aspirations. 20% of every book sold supports Carter's cause.
Now listen to me. The company with the best team will win. Will win. The company with the best team will win. Did you hear that? Wasn't that such a clear, definitive, strong statement? And it sounds so simple, doesn't it? There's just no pussyfooting around with that. The business with the best team will win. And it's a statement that probably many will acknowledge, but few will intentionally work towards achieving. It's a statement that many will acknowledge, but the few will intentionally work to achieve it. Great leaders know the power of their team. They know they cannot do it all themselves, so they invest with great intention to develop and build their team, to aid their development, to get them playing to their strengths. Remember, the company with the best team will win. There were so many insights today from Dirk, so many insights from this particular conversation, and I really liked his approach to collaborative leadership. In fact, he went out of his way to say the old top-down approach of leadership is dead, and it's been dead for a number of years, yet many still believe in that approach. The top-down approach no longer works, and it hasn't for a while. And instead, what Dirk is seeing and what Dirk works with companies towards is the concept of human systems. And once again, I just love that. It's created a real visualization for me in relation to our human system. So ask yourself, how is your human system in your business? Is it cohesive? Is it clear? Is it effective? Is it productive? Because often we'll go out of our way to make sure our digital systems are effective, clear, and productive. But we don't invest the same level of commitment into our human systems. And often we end up with human systems that are far from productive, clear, and cohesive. Imagine if we invested in our people in the same way that we invest in systemization of our business. We systemize our businesses to make them more effective and efficient. And if we invested in our people to make our human systems better, it makes sense that we will also make our businesses more efficient and more effective. And once again, I just reiterate, the business with the best team will win. A huge thank you to Dirk for sharing his insights on this episode of Today's Leader. Remember, in today's disruptive world, good leadership skills will always stand you in great stead. If you're looking to build better leadership skills, consider my businesses at Think and Grow Business and the Coach Curl Academy. Think and Grow Business, where we host the Think and Grow Business Masterminds. We focus on personal, professional, and business growth. Book in your free 30-minute discovery call at thinkandgrowbusiness.com.au. The Coach Curl Academy is my online coaching platform. We've got over 75 programs in there, actually 78, to build a better you. The first month is just $1 jolly. The Academy will equip you to enhance your mindset, your leadership, and your business skills. Check it out at thecoachcurlacademy.com. Remember, wherever you are standing stronger, braver, and wiser. And don't ever forget the golden rule. Yes, you know what that is. Just don't be an arsehole. I'll see you next time. Bye.
It's the classic dilemma at Whataburger. You pick up your patty melt with 2 fresh all-beef patties, melted Monterey Jack cheese, grilled onions, and creamy pepper sauce, and just when you're about to dig into Whataburger's take on this all-time classic, someone utters the dreaded words.
Can I have a bite?
Should you? Shouldn't you? Maybe you just take a big bite so you don't have to answer. Good thing that dilemma's over. Good thing there's the patty melt at Whataburger.
At ADP, we understand the importance of building the right team and offer the data insights to help. Just as importantly, our AI technology helps you pay the team accurately. Grow stronger with ADP, HR, talent, time, and payroll.